If you're looking to cover a room with clear, even sound without spending a fortune on installers or ceiling rigging, a passive column line array like the SoundTown ETI-8X8M106B is worth a hard look. It's one of those products that sounds great on paper but can leave you second-guessing once you start plugging things in and trying to make it work in a real space. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Most people shopping for this kind of system fall into two camps. There are the DIY installers who want something they can mount themselves in a meeting room or small restaurant without hiring an audio tech. Then there are the budget-conscious buyers who need reliable speech clarity for announcements or background music but don't want to overpay for a full-powered PA system. This setup tries to serve both groups, and it mostly succeeds, but with a few caveats that only show up once you start using it day to day. Let's start with what actually matters when you're setting this up. The ETI-8X8M106B is a passive system, which means you'll need a separate amplifier to drive it. SoundTown includes their own 8-channel amp, the Mode Audio ETI-84, which is convenient but also limits your flexibility. If you already have a powered mixer or DSP amp, you might end up with an extra box taking up rack space. That's not a deal-breaker, but it's worth thinking about before you commit. The included amp is fine for basic use, but don't expect deep EQ or advanced routing. It's really just there to make the system plug and play. The speakers themselves are the real stars here. Each column is made up of 8 4-inch drivers arranged vertically, which gives you a tight vertical dispersion pattern. That's great for keeping sound off the ceiling and focused on the audience, especially in rooms with low ceilings or lots of hard surfaces. In a small conference room or a narrow restaurant aisle, this setup can actually sound clearer than a pair of full-range speakers because it minimizes reflections. I've seen similar setups used in houses of worship and classrooms, and they do a surprisingly good job of making speech intelligible without sounding tinny or boomy. But here's where things get tricky. Column arrays aren't magic. They work best in rooms that are roughly rectangular and not too wide. If your space is square or has a lot of open seating, you might find the coverage uneven. The vertical array helps, but it doesn't fix poor room acoustics. You'll still need to think about speaker placement and maybe add some acoustic treatment if the room echoes. That's not a flaw in the product, it's just how line arrays work. If you're expecting this to sound like a high-end concert system, you'll be disappointed. But if you need consistent, intelligible sound for announcements or background music, it's more than capable. Another thing to consider is power. The included amp is rated for 8 ohms per channel, which is fine for small rooms, but if you're pushing this system hard in a larger space, you might run into distortion or overheating. The amp doesn't have a ton of headroom, so if you're using it for music playback at moderate volumes, you'll be okay. But crank it up, and you'll hear the limitations. That's not unusual for a budget amp, but it's something to keep in mind if you're planning to use this for anything beyond speech. Installation is straightforward if you're comfortable with basic mounting hardware. The columns are lightweight aluminum, so they're easy to handle, but you'll need to make sure your mounts are secure. The included amp is rack mountable, which is a nice touch for a commercial setup, but again, it's not the most powerful unit out there. If you're used to pro audio gear, you might find the included cables and connectors a bit flimsy. They work, but they don't inspire confidence for long-term use. Who should buy this? If you're a small business owner, a school administrator, or a community group looking for a simple, affordable way to improve speech clarity in a room under 1,000 square feet, this system is a solid choice. It's not going to win any awards for bass response or dynamic range, but it will get the job done without breaking the bank. If you're a musician or a DJ, this isn't the system for you. It's designed for speech and light background music, not for reproducing bass-heavy tracks. Who should skip it? If you need a system that can handle high volumes, complex EQ, or advanced routing, look elsewhere. This is a no-frills, budget-friendly solution, and it shows in the included amp and accessories. If you're already invested in a powered mixer or DSP system, the passive design might feel limiting. And if your room has challenging acoustics, you'll need to address those issues separately. This system won't fix them for you. The biggest strength of the ETI 8X8M106B